This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 2 of Couples Money, Stop Fighting About Finances, where we're diving into the art of actually talking about money without it turning into World War III. Today, we're exploring how to really hear what your partner is saying about finances, even when they're not saying it directly, and how to respond in ways that bring you closer instead of driving you apart. Let's get into it. Money is the last great taboo in relationships, a therapist told me. Yet most couples talk about rent, groceries, and streaming bills every month. So here's the paradox. How can two people discuss money all the time and still have no real conversations about it at all? Most couples don't need more money talks. They need better structured ones. Data from relationship and financial psychology keeps finding the same thing. It isn't your income, your debt, or even your spending style that predicts whether you'll grow closer or start keeping score. It's the script you use when you sit down to talk. Think about the last serious money chat you had. Did you have a shared agenda, or did you wing it between emails and dishes? Did one person quietly run the numbers while the other mostly reacted? When there's no clear structure, the loudest voice, the fastest talker, or the most anxious partner usually ends up steering the whole conversation, often without meaning to. In this episode, we'll zoom in on how to build a simple, repeatable framework for money talks that feels fair, calm, and genuinely collaborative. Structure helps, but how you show up inside that structure matters just as much. Two people can follow the same checklist and end up in totally different places emotionally, supportive teammates or defensive opponents. The research is clear. Open, curious, and non-judgmental money talk predicts both happier relationships and stronger finances over time. So in this episode, we'll add a second layer, the relational settings you bring into any money meeting, tone, timing, and tiny habits that keep both of you regulated, respected, and actually willing to come back to the table next month. Most couples assume the content of money talks, the bills, the debt, the goals, is what matters most. Research keeps showing the opposite. The process you use for those talks is doing quiet, behind-the-scenes work on your relationship, either building safety or eroding it. One study found that couples who hold monthly budget meetings report 42% higher relationship satisfaction, not just better spreadsheets. The check-in itself becomes a signal. We can handle hard things together. That's why joint involvement beats delegating everything to the numbers person. When one partner runs the show and the other just signs off, you may avoid short-term arguments, but you increase the risk of long-term resentment, financial secrets, and power imbalances. Money conflicts already show up in 21 to 35% of divorces. Adding secrecy or one-sided control is like pouring lighter fluid on that fire. Instead, think of each money conversation as having three roles that must be shared over time. The historian brings in facts, transactions, past patterns, upcoming obligations. The interpreter asks, what does this mean for us? What feels fair? What worries us? The architect helps design next steps, systems, apps, agreements, and experiments to try. You might naturally lean toward one role, but rotating them keeps both partners engaged and reduces the parent-child dynamic that so often creeps into finances. Technology can help if you treat it as a neutral third space rather than a surveillance tool. Shared budgeting apps, joint dashboards, or even a simple shared spreadsheet can externalize the numbers. Instead of, why did you spend this? It becomes, what does this pattern tell us? That shift from accusation to investigation is where empathy has room to grow. And those early money talks while dating? They're not about grilling each other's credit reports. They're about normalizing financial transparency before you're sharing leases or kids. Data suggests that setting the tone within the first 6 months reduces the odds of hidden debt later, because you've already practiced being honest when the stakes were lower. Over time, your goal isn't perfectly smooth talks. It's the confidence that you can return to the table, even after a hard month, and still feel on the same team. Think about how different money talks feel when you change where and how they happen. A couple I worked with moved their numbers time from 11 p.m. in bed to Saturday mornings at a coffee shop with a 30-minute cap. Same topics, but the tone shifted from exhausted sniping to game planning over lattes. Another pair used a shared app only as a scoreboard. Every over-budget line turned into blame. When they switched to tagging each expense with one word, joy, obligation, or auto, they noticed patterns without immediately judging them and quietly adjusted together. One way to picture it, like a band rehearsing. You're not on stage yet, you're experimenting with volume, tempo, and who takes which part, knowing you can stop and restart. Tech becomes the sheet music you're both reading from, not a spotlight on who missed a note. Over time, the goal isn't perfect harmony every session, but trusting you can keep playing even after the occasional wrong chord. Money Talk will keep evolving. As real-time dashboards and AI coaches join the mix, you'll have more data than you can possibly discuss. The skill won't be getting numbers, but deciding which ones matter for us this month. Think of future tools like a smart travel guide, suggesting routes, warning about detours, but still asking, do you two want the scenic path or the fastest one? Your values, not the tech, still pick the destination. Treat each new Money Talk less like a performance review and more like drafting next season's playbook together. You'll swap rigid scripts for experiments, shorter check-ins, clearer roles, and tools that fit your quirks. Over time, notice not just fewer arguments, but more small moments where you both say, that felt easier than last time. Before next week, ask yourself, what's one specific money conversation I've been avoiding, like telling my partner I'm stressed about our credit card balance or asking for clarity on how we're splitting rent? And what outcome would I genuinely love from that talk? If I shared the story behind my biggest money fear or mistake, for example, growing up hearing we can't afford that or secretly overspending last month, how might that change the tone of our next money chat? In my next conversation about money, what's one concrete phrase I can use to stay curious instead of defensive? Something like, can you help me understand how you're thinking about this budget? And when will I use it this week? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow.